So I want to talk a little bit about this concept you have of the emotional DNA.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to me because I think it really hits home. It's very direct and it's simple to understand. It's basically, if I understand it correctly, it's the structure of our emotional components in life, and it's basically the way that it's set through our prior experience in life, right?
Yes, yes.
Am I getting
yes,
it correctly?
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about, like, how did you come to this realization, and if you can give us an example, specific example or two of how it, when you understood it and you went through the process of changing it, what exactly did you do and what process you went through in order to get to where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. So 1 years, probably about 11, 12 years ago. So part of my experience then was, I had a lot of ideas, business ideas, and I worked very, very hard, right? I many hours every day, different partnership. I went into different businesses, and one of the things that I noticed is, doesn't matter how hard I work, I kept going back to making the same amount of money. So every time that I built something good and I saw some level of success, in my mind, the story that I told myself was, oh, I'm doing great here, I can do great everywhere. And then I went into a different partnership and different opportunities. And then when I start paying attention to everything else, the business that I was successful in went backward. So I played the game for some time, is having my main business do good, then getting into other businesses, everything is not doing good, then jumping back to my core business, rebuilding it, and then seeing success again, and then going back again and doing other things, right? So I was stuck in the cycle. Now, while I was stuck in the cycle, in the beginning I didn't realize it, right? So I always had stories. Oh, it's because of the economy. Oh, it's because of that person. Oh, it's because of the marketing, right? So I always had an external reasoning. I always blamed something else, and I always had amazing stories of why it's happening, right? And then at one point I really hit a point that it was super hard, right? I have twin girls. We lived in a house, and suddenly I'm finding myself in a position like, wow, okay, I'm having a hard time to pay mortgage now. I have all these businesses, I have all these partnerships. Like, what is happening? It doesn't make sense to me. And the stress and the kids and everything that happened at that time. And I don't remember how it happened then, but I heard somebody telling or talking about, I don't know if I heard it on TV or a book or something that I read. And he says, okay, before you're trying to understand the world outside of you, try to understand the world inside of you, inside of me. And I'm sitting there like, okay, what this guy means? What do you mean the world inside of me? Because I was very external focused, right? This is happening and this is happening and this is happening without really seeing that I'm stuck in a cycle. And that got me to stop for a second and step away from blaming the entire world to start going is like, okay, what is it that I'm doing? How I'm thinking about stuff? How is it that I process all this information, right? And I looked at my stories, not being lost in my stories. I looked at my stories and I start seeing patterns, and I start seeing that I'm telling the same stories and it's the same excuses. And then when I stepped even more further back, and I have more space between me and my story, I start thinking about the way I grew up. I say, okay, my parents had exactly the same experience. Making some money, losing everything. Making some money, losing everything. And then I say, okay, wow, I'm re-experiencing the same thing that I experienced as a kid. And then, so that really gave me a better understanding, like, okay, I'm basically living in the same metrics that I grew up in. The same thing is just replaying itself in my own life. So for example, money, right? So I'm sitting down and I wrote down money and I wrote down my goal. And then I said, okay, how my dad think about money, success? How my mom think about money and success? And I started running in my own mind what they used to say about it, how they used to feel about it, right? And trying to stay very objective, right? Put the stories aside, just really how they feel about it. And suddenly I'm seeing it in front of my eyes that I'm consciously and unconsciously, to some degree, I have the same thought patterns. So, and then I realized that, okay, so to some level, to some degree, I don't believe that I deserve more money, right? Because there's something that, there's a feeling of that I'm being ashamed. There's a feeling that it's not okay for me to make money, more money than other people that I know, right? So there's a lot of the unconscious beliefs that I wasn't even aware of, but I was able to see them once I start writing it down. And this is exactly what I did. So for example, money, as I said before, my mom, my dad, I even went through my brothers and grandma and grandpa and all that, and I'm start seeing it in front of me. I'm saying, okay, these belief systems, I know that I adopted them, but they're not really mine. I never really thought about them. I just adopted the feelings about money, the feeling about relationship. It's not the stories, it's how you feel about it. And the beautiful thing that follows it is, once you start seeing it, some of it will dissolve by itself. So it's not even so much of hard work of how I'm going to change it. Some of it, because when your mind starts picking up on, oh, it's not my belief, I adopted that belief, and I can see why they believe it, but I don't need to carry with me those beliefs. And it does, I mean, at one point you're going to start seeing that it don't really make a lot of sense even. You just adopted them because you grew up in that environment, right? And at one point it's going to start to dissolve. But there is also, I mean, another thing that I realized after, there is a way to switch these feelings, right? So being conscious of it and saying, okay, when it comes to making more money, if I feel ashamed, if I feel that I don't deserve more money, whatever feelings, and on purpose I'm saying the word feeling, right? Because our mind gonna say, there's a lot of stories to justify our feeling, but forget about the stories. Go back to the feeling. If you feel ashamed, there's a feeling of shame with money. If you replace the feeling of shame and money to something of money is energy, and I can create as much money as I want, and there's nothing wrong about it. I can do so much more good with money. I can help people, and I deserve everything. When you start implementing those, it sounds funny, but you're just creating those feelings without letting your mind get into all the stories and right? Just create those feelings. You think money, you create a better feeling. Money, create a better feeling. At one point, it's going to switch. And the beautiful thing is that everything around you is going to change without you working harder, right? Because those limiting beliefs, conscious and unconscious, will get you to work harder sometime just to stop yourself from making more money, right? So I'm all about working hard and optimizing your process, but
Are you saying, just to clarify,
yeah,
are you saying that literally the emotions that you hold, your pattern, if you get to a place in which you're about to do less work and more money, it will say, no, that's wrong, and it will make you find a reason to work harder and make the same amount of money?
Yes, or even less money, because you feel like you don't deserve.
So the value you place on it is like how hard you work, not in, let's say, another version of it is like how much good you can do if you make more money. And because the emphasis on how hard I should work, then it will always be the focus.
Yes, you need to so you're justifying your existence by how hard you work. And now there is really no reason to justify our existence. I just exist, I deserve, I'm here, I'll create, right? That mindset, those feelings. Look, there's people that make so much money. It's not like they have more time. When you are stuck in this cycle, like when there's something that you want to achieve, and for a long period of time, you're trying hard and you're trying hard and you're trying hard, you're not really getting there. You have an inner conflict. There is beliefs that you adopted that are going against what you're trying to reach. So in one way I say, I want to make a lot of money. I want to drive in the nicest car. I want to have the nicest house. But then you have an unconscious belief that you don't deserve it. You're going to keep spinning your wheels. You're not going to get it. In the second book, in the mindset book, I talk about the idea of the mirror, right? Everything in your life is a reflection of you. Now, most of it, it's the unconscious beliefs that you have, right? If you look at life as like school, okay, we're here to evolve, we're here to learn. When you keep experiencing something that is holding you back, right? It's not really helping you develop and achieve more as a human being. It's holding you back. It's really there to show you, hey, there is something in you. There's a lower vibration. There is a limited belief in you. And we're trying to tell you what it is. But instead of going internally and trying to fix it, trying to work it out, what we do most of the time is we blame. Oh, it's not me, it's because of the market. He took advantage of me. I cannot generate leads. I cannot close sales. This is not going to work for me. What we really do when we blame other people is we take our power. So let's say I have 100% of power to create whatever I want. Every time that I blame something that is external, I take a piece of my power and I hand it out. It's because of you. Now my power is 80%. Oh no, it's because of the government. Now my power is 60%. It's because of my wife. Now my partner is now my power is down to 40%. So now you're going through life, blaming everything around you, living a very external type of life. When I say external, I mean everything is dependent on the outside world. When the reality is the outside world is only a reflection of your inside world. So instead of saying, no, let me take my power back from the government, from my leads, from my wife, for example, right? Now you go back and now you have the 100% power. But now you're saying, okay, I have the power to create my life. I'm going to stop looking at the outside world. I'm going to start going internally. Why I'm getting stuck? Without blaming anybody. Why I'm getting stuck? Okay, let's me look at my emotional DNA. How I feel about money. The story that's going to come up in your head is like, no, I want to make a lot of money. Okay, good. This is your story. Now let's look at your parents. What your dad thought about it. When I grew up as a kid, money is hard. We're not going to have money. You need to work super hard to make money. Being a salesperson means that you're taking advantage of people. Okay, now this is part of your DNA. Go now to your mom. We don't need money. We have friendship, right? Whatever it is. Now you look at your mom, stories or feelings about money, and let's say there's 5 questions on each one, and then you take these answers, you put them together, and this is your emotional DNA. So you can try as hard as you can, but if you're not going to fix it internally first, you're going to keep spinning. You're going to keep spinning, right? And when that understanding from my own experience kind of opened my eyes, it makes sense to me now why there are so many people that will go to so many seminars, will read so many books, will try so hard, but they're not going to get anywhere.
So they're trying to change the story, but they don't address the feelings at all.
Yes.
And one cannot go without the other.
Yes. If you don't have a lot of limitation, a lot of conflict idea in you, you can set up goals and you can go after the goals and you're going to be able to be successful to some degree, right? Because there's people, not everybody have so many conflicts about money or love or relationship. We all have some, right? But there's some people that they have a deep conflicts about, let's use money again, let's stay on money. If they have a deep conflict about money, they're not going to be able to change it if they're not going to address their inner world at one point, right? So I believe that you can change the course of your life in 2 ways. One is you rewrite your belief system. I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to make $1 million, right? This is what they do. They're going to do the stretching. They're going to stand up. I'm going to make $1 million. They're going to try to put it in every sales in their body. And I think that you can be successful that way. If you have a really deep conflict, that is not really going to work for you. The percentage of people that really change their life and really reaching their goals after they go into a seminar or they read a great book is very, very small. Most people going back to their day-to-day, right? Because they're not trying to undo the conflict. So it's just very, very hard to make the changes because you need to be patient. You need to do it over a long period of time. And your metrics, your belief system will keep pulling you back to, no, this is who you are, right? Because the way we structure with our ego and our belief system and everything, it's really like a matrix, like you're sitting within a matrix that says like, no, this is who you are. Unless you don't go and you try to change the matrix, you're gonna spin your wheels. And this is what I experience, and this is what I see a lot with people around me. I mean, how many times I get a phone call for a franchisee? Great first year, Kidan, I'm gonna go now and start another business. I'm like, no, it's your unconscious belief. You got to your point that you don't think that you deserve, that you need to make more money. Like, why would you go and open another business if you can easily double your income with the business that you're in? This is a question that I will ask them. Like, why would you do it? It's not like you're super passionate about starting another construction business, right? You got into this business because you want to live a lifestyle, you want to help people, and you want to make a lot of money. You are in a perfect place to double your income over the next 12 months. And you come to me now and you say, no, I want to start another business. Because of my own experience, I can recognize it in them. And I was like, no, this is why you're making this decision, is unconscious. So put a story aside. How do you feel about how much you make now? And how do you feel about doubling your income? Oh, I feel great, but I say, okay, what's the but? What is it there? Like, what gets your mind now to look at something else and not keep growing the business that you're in? And usually this is where we uncover the limited belief that they have. And most of the time, just by shining light on the conflict dissolves. That's what is amazing about it, right? So you don't need now to go to spend hours and hours of conversation about the conflict that your parents had and the reasoning and going back and forth. And you shouldn't even get mad at your parents. You just need to see it for what it is and said, okay, now it's in front of me. Now I took a lot of the unconscious beliefs that I had and they're on paper. I can see them. I can see the feeling that holds me back. And most of the time, this is going to dissolve by itself. And if not, you're going to start working on introducing a new feeling and just do it again and again over time, and that will change.